Autism spectrum disorder is one of the fastest growing disabilities in the U.S. 1 in 110 children are affected with the disability. What is the impact on education and services? Perhaps the rate which these children are being diagnosed with this disability is what's most alarming to our educational system. In 1992, the U.S. Department of Education reported 5,415 students with this disorder eligible for services. A decade later, that number rose to 97,204. By the last count from the U.S. Department of Education, students receiving disability-related services for this disorder was 292,818. It's a dramatic increase of 201% since 2002, and over 5,300% increase since the category was first established. Since autism affects a child's ability to communicate and socially interact, what are the impacts on education? How are we preparing educators to address this in the classroom? Early intervention and teaching tactics are necessary. At the growing rate that ASD is diagnosed across the U.S., it can be difficult for parents and teachers to address the individual needs of a child. Prior research by the CDC, U.S. Department of Education, and several other sources highlighted in this review have built the platform to expand and address the needs of children with ASD. Yell, Katsianis, Dasgro, and Herbers cite that parents and school districts have points of contention as when it comes to eligibility of services, which basically outline what services your child are eligible for, educational placement, where the child should be placed in the least restricted environment, whether that be self-contained, mainstream, what is best for that child, and instructional methodologies, the how are we going to get my child to where he needs to be. With respect to the eligibility of services, IEPs, which are the individual education plan, are created timely for students and reviewed by the parents that outline the services that they recommend for their child, and they are need-based services for that specific child. So we're coming along in the fact that we have recognized that we need to expand and address the needs of children with ASD. Many have researched the impact of ASD as it relates to education and have implemented a standard of services for students. Standards are in place to make sure children with ASD are being offered the least restricted environments for learning. Although there is a long road ahead, progress is being made. Unfortunately, effective interventions are not always implemented due to the lack of non-evidence-based interventions currently being used. This is why introducing research-based educational practices for teaching students with autism is a good starting point.